Hey, this is Doug Stanhope, and you are listening to Revolution of the Board podcast. Another one.
Revolution of the Board.
There's a delay anyways.
Oh, fuck you.
That's why it doesn't matter if we did it at the same time. But, all right, well.
Great intro to Revolution of the Board episode, Fuck Your Face. I don't know what it is anymore.
Yes. This is our first episode of the new year, so Happy New Year to all you guys that have been waiting for this episode to come out. We do have Mr. Jonathan Chase with us from Jackass Express.
Yes.
Good to be hailing all the way from where are you again?
I live in Taiwan right now.
Cool.
And I was right, or is Taiwan in Japan? See, I'm horrible at...
It's its own.
Oh, God, I'm a moron.
But no, man. I mean, shit. We're doing the best working with this time difference that we got here. It's like right in the middle of the day for you. It's about close to midnight for us.
11:40 right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all up anyway, so don't worry about it.
I'd be up.
But yeah, I guess just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your podcast, Jackass Express. We've actually, of course, we've mentioned it before on the on our show.
Yeah, I've worked.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I've worked on it, and
Yeah, well, like you guys said, my name's Jonathan. I live here over in Taiwan for about, I guess, the last almost 6 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we started this whole podcast just off of, we're like, well, fuck it, let's just do one. And it started off as kind of like a joke. We're like, yeah, okay. And then eventually one episode turned into 5 and then 10. And now we're like on 40-something. I can't remember. But it's pretty much grown quite a lot in the last year or so. We're really surprised. And we have some followers, which is always nice, but, always looking for more. So, that's about it, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. That seems to be how most of these podcasts start. I know there's like 2 or 3 here that are still active in El Paso. We've mentioned before the El Paso Horror Society.
yeah, but they've kind of waned off. I haven't seen something new for them.
Yeah, they're still working on their new one. There's another new one called Hypothetical Therapy, which is a friend of ours, Danny from Mad Talk. He started a new one.
We had Danny on either ours or we were on his one.
Exactly. We kind of cross-podcasted on that one. But yeah, that's basically seems to be how these podcasts start up. It's friends getting together, like, hey, let's talk about this, or let's try it out. And then it kind of just develops into this thing, and it becomes its own animal. And
yeah. I think also it's probably because, when you do it with, close friends, you already talk about, stupid shit anyways on your off time. And then we never think about ever recording these conversations until, the advent of podcasting. We're like, now we can record ourselves talking about nonsense.
Exactly. Like, imagine, Chase, if we had an iPhone in Schwinn's class.
Oh my god.
Just us sitting together when we could hear the douchebags in the back talking about getting drunk in Juarez, and we're just talking about Indiana Jones and shit.
One time, we're watching Lord of the Flies.
Just shooting dice.
Yeah, it was just that ghetto. But oh god,
I remember in high school there was this one class, Mr. Bangert, I think. He was this old teacher that taught Latin, but it was that class that everybody knew you could get away with murder. And I remember there were people that would actually I don't know how they managed it, but they would smoke weed in the back of the classroom. It was probably just like 1 or 2 puffs or something. But yeah, nobody did any fucking work in that class. It was a madhouse.
That is true. I've heard of people doing lines in the middle of class.
Yeah.
By multiple people. It's insane.
And poor guy, he was must have been in his 80s or something, but he was just this elderly teacher that would teach Latin, or at least attempt to teach Latin, and it just did not work out.
Yeah.
Usually the language classes always get fucked over.
Yeah.
No one ever cares, to learn the language or whatever, and then the teacher teacher just kind of stuck doing it.
Yeah, I took Miss Leaf for 2 years. I still didn't know fucking Spanish. Oh god.
Yeah, I took Spanish too in high school, and I didn't learn a damn thing. And that was another one of those classes where we just gave the teacher hell. Like
our German teacher, he didn't know any German. He was like a replacement sub because the original teacher, she had to leave the country because like her husband was out to get her because she was cheating on him or something like that. So he was like a permanent sub, and it's just because he stayed in Germany for a while. I think like in World War II, and so he was the perfect candidate to sub this class as a German class. And all we did was just draw pictures and do stupid conversations.
and feed off of his Nazi rage.
At all from that class.
Yeah, that's El Paso standards.
Well, speaking of language barriers, I mean, how has it been over there? Like since you moved over there, getting used to. I mean, did you already know some of the language, or was it something that you had to learn as you go along?
Well, before I moved to Taiwan, I lived in Japan for about a year or so, and I studied Japanese for that time. So when I came to Taiwan, I could already like read like the Chinese characters, so I knew like the meaning of them. So when I came here, I didn't know much Chinese, but at least I can read like menus and whatnot, and just be like, oh, okay, I want this one or that one, and something like that. And then over time, you just kind of learn the language that you need to know to kind of survive. But luckily, with the job that I have teaching English, it's got a good support base for foreign teachers.
Yeah.
So they definitely help you out quite a lot.
How do they teach?
You get away with not knowing any Chinese here because quite a lot of people speak English.
How do they treat their language professors?
Well, here like in Asia, the teacher is like a respected position.
Yeah, not the bag of shit we see here.
But so usually, majority of the time, teachers get a fair share of respect and from the parents and from the students. So
Yeah.
class management is never too much of a problem.
Well, that's a good thing.
But I mean, the country still has its fair share of like racism.
Mhm.
To be a teacher here, it definitely helps if you're white and maybe blonde hair, blue eyes, or something like that, because in their mind, that's what an American looks like: someone who's white and
The Aryan race.
But if you're black or whatever, then fuck it, you're pretty much screwed. A lot of people definitely don't like to hire black people over here, and then of course they have like a huge stigma about they think all black people are just out to rob you and whatnot. So
Oh wow.
Yeah, it just sounds like the American race. It's here already.
What about the country itself, like politically, and what's the climate like over there?
politically, well, Taiwan it's definitely it's a democratic country, and they're still struggling, I guess, with China, because China believes that Taiwan is still part of China as itself. But over here they've elected their own government and their own officials, so they still practice protesting and free speech and all those kind of things. I know, I guess a lot of people though, I don't know, the political climate it's kind of mixed, I guess.
Yeah.
Some of them they're like really hardcore about it, and other people they're just very lukewarm about it.
Okay, so you have your moderates and you have your fanatics.
Yeah. I mean, you also have a lot of people too who like to be political for the sake of saying, "Oh, I'm very political," but they don't really believe in what they're doing.
It sounds like so many people I've known here, where some of them don't care, some of them care a lot, some of them are just in it just to seem hip.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the hipster activists and. Wow. So, tell us about the ladyboys.
The ladyboys. Well, the ladyboys is more Thailand.
Oh, that's true.
So, yeah.
That's what I was
I
thinking.
know that's what Dave was hoping you were. Maybe that's why he kept asking you the
I was
questions
thinking
about the land.
Thailand.
He's like, I need a place to visit.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. They confuse Taiwan with Thailand. We've had friends like, "Hey man, do you ride an elephant to work?" I'm like, no, dude, that's fucking Thailand.
Dave, you ignorant fuck.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think that it was part of Japan, Josh.
We're all idiots.
So, but yeah, speaking of,
Think of the, when you look at stuff made in America, it always says made in Taiwan. Well, that's where it is. It's made in Taiwan over here.
do you see a lot of like as far as the culture, like things that come out here, how long does it take to usually show up over there? Like say movies or I don't know, any kind of media or any kind of like Western culture.
Movies, I guess it depends on how big the movie is. There's some movies where we'll definitely get here within a week or so after it's shown. Other times, most movies don't even make it out over here, so we have to wait till it comes out online.
Right.
And we can download it or something like that.
Yeah, but I guess with the internet, it kind of comes out a little bit quicker than it would have prior to, I guess, that major media exposure that would get over there
Yeah.
Sure.
like faster than.
Yeah, because I know like especially TV shows, popular TV shows that I watch. I mean, it's available for download like the couple hours after the show itself finishes. So I mean, and
Yeah, exactly.
that's just quickens the spread of culture in general.
Yeah, thank God for those torrent sites, because if it wasn't for that, then I would miss out on a lot of TV shows I used to watch back home.
So yeah, I mean, I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier before we started recording, but I know you do have some opinions about that movie American Sniper, the Chris Kyle story.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, like it's how it's kind of celebrated, and it's almost become this kind of this propaganda film of sorts.
Reviewed as it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. Like, I think I totally agree with Seth Rogen's comparison of that to the Nazi propaganda film in the movie Inglourious Bastards, where they have that guy was a sniper and he's like killed so many enemy soldiers, and he's being lauded as this patriotic hero and this embodiment of everything that the nation stands for and that regime stands for. And I think that's happening with us. That's happening with this.
Yeah, man. I mean, that stance could totally be, argued for sure. I think what's interesting me more was just the dichotomy of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on one side, you can kind of see how a lot of people kind of embrace it. We're like, okay, this Chris Kyle, he was a celebrated vet. He did serve his country and stuff like that. And then on the other hand, he's also kind of glorified for being, for doing his job, being like an instrument of war, and killing enemy soldiers. I think for me it's just kind of weird, because I guess on one hand, you see Chris Kyle as, okay, yeah, he's a Navy SEAL and he's done all this stuff, but you also look at the kind of person that he was, and I think a lot of people they kind of just forget about that. They forget about that not everyone is perfect.
Yeah.
And Chris Kyle's definitely not one of the perfect guys, I guess, where there's cases of him, I guess, lying and about I guess over embellishing his status.
Yeah. Right, like
he kind of buys into that hype.
Yeah, I know one of the instances. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying it just kind of makes you wonder. It's like, well, is this really someone who you want to really glorify? But I guess that goes with every kind of hero aspect.
Yeah, because they tend to gloss over the whole thing of like we all have our heroes. I mean, and none of them are perfect. They're all human beings. But I think, especially in this case of Chris Kyle specifically, there's some glaring imperfections that they're just kind of overlooking and whitewashing with this movie that's coming out, because Clint Eastwood, he's tending to ignore the negative aspects of the person and just kind of like present him as this like godlike figure, this symbol of American patriotism and heroism.
Yeah, but that's what they like to do with a lot of films, definitely. Either it's lean to one side, make him a deity, or the devil. It's always some kind of dichotomy that they never want to just kind of cut it down the middle. I noticed, especially with this war story kind of stuff. Even when we were in high school, who was it? Jessica Lynch?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember with
Yeah,
that.
I'm a soldier too, and it turns out that wasn't true.
Yeah.
There's just a whole bunch of stories like that. Sometimes they try to sweep everything under the rug and make it seem it's definitely propaganda.
Yeah, and the second that you question the person's integrity, or even say, hey, let's stop and take a closer look at this, you're automatically labeled as someone who's just trying to, commit character assassination against a fucking hero, or
Exactly.
you're just trying to be anti-American or
Yeah,
anti-military.
exactly.
Or
You're immediately labeled instead of saying, okay, maybe you have a valid opinion. Let's see what you have to say. No, it's more like, no, you should be a terrorist. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main things that's missing in American culture is this looking closer at things for what they are, instead of just kind of accepting this like kind of blanket perspective on it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I think also it's just kind of weird because, we support our veterans and stuff like that. And I think what had happened is like after Vietnam, where there's just been that huge political backlash about veterans coming back and not getting the support they need. Suddenly now we're like on the other extreme spectrum where now it's like we have to shower our veterans with admiration and praise and make sure, they're welcome back, and, we give them high fives and pat them on the back and stuff like that. And, to an extent, it should happen, but not so much so where we also lose perspective on what we're really doing as well. We don't want to be at war, and we should also try and take steps towards ending the war and at least getting everyone back home. Because eventually, we want everyone to be back home. We don't want to be in perpetual fighting, because then that's another chance to lose your loved ones.
Yeah.
So if you really want to support the troops, then you would support that kind of decision on keeping them safe and bringing them back.
Yeah, but instead there is definitely powers at will that do kind of perpetuate fear, and it feeds. God, I sound like a douchebag. It kind of does feed a machine in a way, and it's just constant motion that I don't know.
Well, one thing I noticed was I was watching this documentary about World War II the other day, and it was about how before we got into that war, we were kind of looking at it like, this is something that's going on overseas. This is really none of our business. We're going to stay out of it because we have no stake in this. This is between them. And we don't have that mentality anymore as a nation. We're like, we're like, everything is our business and it's our duty. We're the like police of the world, and any little conflict we have to get involved in.
I kind of wonder if it's because World War II was so profitable.
Yeah, well, I mean, it established us as a superpower, but it's...
Sure, yeah. Before then, as America, we were definitely practicing isolationism. But I think over time, now the world is just, because of how interconnected it is, it's impossible to have that mentality anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We can't really have that, idea of like, okay, we're only going to deal with you just on business or something like that. And I think because of all these ties that we have with other countries, we kind of take it upon ourselves to, stick our hand into that business, because their business is now also our business as well.
Yeah. We've kind of become
it's kind of hard to kind of stray away from that now. I think we have too many ties that if we did go back to that form of thinking, then it would, I guess, hurt people's money books, and it's less money for them, and
could be
that's all it really is.
We can't go back to being a peer after kind of forcing ourselves to become a parent.
Sorry about that in advance. My son is being really talkative right
No,
now.
That's no problem.
It's kind of funny that I brought up the parent thing right when your son starts talking. He's mumbling.
I guess he kind of wants to join in on the conversation.
It's all good,
And
man.
it was like-
All perspectives are young and old are welcome here.
He's going to be the Jackass Express Part 2.
So how is the Jackass Express coming along? Are you guys still going strong with recording episodes.
Yeah, sure. Well, I know we've recorded an episode last week. I wasn't a part of it. I was busy at the time, but I know we definitely try to get podcasts recorded at least bi-weekly. We definitely have like a lot of episodes in reserve, so we try to have like the material constantly be updated.
Yeah.
We're always trying to update our theme, try to keep it current, try to keep it like lighthearted. I think that's kind of one of the reasons I definitely want to join you guys for this cast, because it's not very often we get to talk about very serious issues, because once we do that, then we definitely limit our audience, and it can kind of get too heavy-handed.
Yeah, it will polarize.
Our shtick is supposed to be, more lighthearted and just, more comedic than anything.
True.
We talk about, shooting bad guys and terrorists and blowing up shit and political stuff like that. It's like, oh man, it's so dark. And
Well, it's good to have within the podcast landscape a nice variety of different types of shows that you can go to. I mean, you can have every show be like, well, we'll just talk about whatever, but it's nice to have some that are geared more toward a certain thing,
yeah.
for, a certain interest group or a certain style or taste or whatever. And I like that about what's going on lately with all these podcasts that are popping up. You have such a variety and such so many choices.
Sure, it just kind of reminds me. It's like, I guess I like to think of it as like the modern day radio programs from the days of yore, where they didn't have TV. All they had was their fucking radio, where they turn that shit on. It's like, today on Annie Oakley, what's she gonna do now? Or
Yeah, Little Orphan Annie, or Orson Welles reading War of the Worlds.
Yeah, we should start doing radio dramas with sound effects and shit.
It's really interesting how that form of media is kind of coming back, and there's just so many people who are very creative, and it opens up the doors for everyone to kind of do their thing, and we can enjoy that.
What you said right now, Dave, they did do their Halloween special. I don't know if you heard it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Dramatic.
Like old style radio dramas.
They brought it back.
It reminds me also of like when I was a kid, I would listen to my grandpa playing the AM radio, because he was really big into talk radio at the time. And I think podcasting is basically that, but with a lot more fucks and shits and dick jokes. You have
ours.
You have so much free range to say whatever you want, because it's truly your own thing. There's no corporate control. There's no pressure from advertisers unless you invite that into your podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I love that there's no restrictions. We pay for the subscription to have Podbean keep us up, and it's been going on. I think this
is gonna be like our 4th year, I think.
Yeah, this October.
Damn.
Yeah, it definitely goes by quite fast.
But I like how you said that you guys have like a lot of. Obviously there's also more of you guys, but you have a bunch of shows in reserve. We have the opposite problem. We don't have shows in reserve. We have a lot of half shows that never amounted to anything.
Yeah,
we were either too.
We kind of rambled and very angry personal things, I guess, and. It's just a mess to listen to.
Yeah, we have some that are just totally unlistenable.
Well, it's really funny because really, the driving force behind our podcast is definitely Patrick. He definitely keeps us, in line and makes sure that we're definitely, on topic. And you'll notice that sometimes those casts, and when he's not present and we're just there, we just go like all over the fucking place, and it's just a big shamble. And it's just amazing that we still, put it out there and people still listen to it and like it. We're like, man, come on, guys. What's going on here?
It's like, what am I talking
Come on,
about?
man. I've listened to those rambling ones, and I still enjoy those. Hell, I'm a subscriber to your podcast on iTunes, and I would have subscribed to mine for
Do you still have that
really bad shit.
Do you still have that experience of like you listen to one of your episodes and you're like, God, do I really sound like that?
Yeah,
I still have that.
Of course. I'm like, oh, man, that's me? Jesus.
And
Yeah. You just feel like, ugh.
And it's weird because like between music and comedy and the podcast, I'm used to hearing myself on. Well, you would think I'd be used to hearing myself on like being recorded. Yeah, but no, I still don't get. I'm not used to the sound of my own voice. I'm like, really? Do I really fucking sound like that? I sound like a douchebag.
Yeah.
I think everyone is like that, where unless you're very narcissistic and you just love your voice, there's definitely people who just like, oh, I don't sound like that or whatever. I know, like when you record like your mom or something, yeah, like you were snoring last night. That's not me.
Yeah, that's another thing. Anytime people say, "You're snoring," and then say, "I don't snore," you don't know you don't snore. God damn it.
It's like, how are you gonna be awake to hear yourself snore? If you're awake, you stop snoring.
You'd break the universe.
Right? It's like a Schrodinger's cat kind of. One of the things that I had mentioned before, as far as the podcasts are concerned, is I was thinking of getting a bunch of the podcasts that are, actually putting out constant material and going strong. I wanted to get everybody kind of together in a network of podcasts, where everybody could kind of cross promote and do guest spots on each other's shows. I was thinking maybe you guys would like to be a part of that.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, that would be awesome for sure. That's definitely something that anyone's looking forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that'll only build up the community as far as independent podcasts are concerned.
Yeah. Maybe you'd be able to get in contact with Patrick and see if you can jump in.
Yeah, definitely. He would be the person to kind of get in contact with and work that into the mix, because like I said, I mean, it's always good to have that kind of community where we can kind of feed off of each other and cross promote and stuff like that, because it's definitely one of those things where it's better to have a strong network that we can work with together, and it's also for the listeners too. It makes things more interesting when two podcasts combine and make super friends or something like that.
Yeah, because that's one of the ways. That's one of the ways you discover new media, is just like you're listening to something that you like, and then you hear something else mentioned, and you're like, oh, I'll check that out, and then that becomes another thing that you're into, and it just kind of grows from there.
Yeah, sure.
I know that's how I got into a lot of podcasts.
Yeah. What other podcasts are you into, or do you listen to podcasts?
I guess when I can, I mean, I kind of like those story-based podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's one about the zombie one that happened a while back.
We're Alive?
Yeah.
That one was great.
And but I haven't caught up with it lately. And then there's another one, I'm trying to remember, it's about like a murder case.
Is that Serial?
Some girl was murdered, and I can't remember what that
Is
was.
it that Serial
I think it's
podcast?
based off like a true story. It was like the murder was never solved, and something like that. I don't know if that rings any bells.
Is it Serial?
Yeah, it's Serial.
Serial? Yeah.
I've heard of that, but I've never listened to it. The ones I've listened to, of course, was We're Alive. That one finished sometime last year.
Mm-hmm.
And No Sleep. I listen to that all the time, but that's storytelling.
Yeah. I got into Hardcore History, which is the Dan Carlin's podcast. That one was pretty awesome. I listened to the 5-part series on like Genghis Khan, called Wrath of the Khans. That was pretty interesting too. It's like I've never really been into history. I've been interested in it, but I've never found an interesting way to learn about it, because history class was always horrible for me. I could never stay awake or pay attention. But once I started listening to that podcast, just the way he describes things and kind of draws you into the story of what was happening, that really made it enjoyable for me. And that was the first time in a long time that I've actually paid attention to something that was history-based, that wasn't a documentary. Because documentaries is another thing that I can get into, but it's hard to translate that to a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Yeah, that's very interesting that you bring that up. When I think of podcasts, to kind of go a little bit off topic, is I remember kind of growing up in the day where it kind of, I think as podcasts is like the 30 plus somethings for like when you're listening to music, because when we're all growing up, we're always like into the new music, like, okay, what band is this or what band is that, and like, oh, you guys like that band. But then once you turn 30 or whatever, you kind of stop paying attention to what's new out there musically, because now it just kind of sounds like shit.
Yeah.
But now, now we have a podcast where it's like, oh, this guy's talking about that, or these people are talking about this, and that's really interesting. So it's like kind of our own way of, it's like a grown-up version of, I guess, pop culture music.
Yeah.
Kind of.
If that's what you want to
Well,
say
because
it as.
podcasts are constantly evolving in different directions. Because like the music that we grew up with, that kind of solidified a base for us, and that's why it's hard for us to part with it and see beyond what's something new until it kind of attracts us.
Yeah.
But that's also because it's maybe a little bit similar to the base that we had set. But with podcasts, we're able to grow and listen to so many new different ones that maybe we didn't like at first because they change, and it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think new media forms are just like so great for getting into different types of music. I mean, you say like when you hit 30, you start kind of just consolidating your own favorite taste, and you don't really venture out more. I guess that's what I have to look forward to, because I just turned 30 like 7 days ago. So I'm like, all right. But I mean, mainly right now, the main way I get into music is by just by incidentally coming across it on Facebook or somewhere on the internet, on a website, or hearing it on a YouTube or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to just seek that out and find out more, that I can build up a library of like 30 new artists in a day just by going from click to click to hearing this track and seeing the related tracks and other things that people like. And it's just, there's like so much out there, and it's hard to just right now, it's hard to stay in just one little lane, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, but once we get up there, it's definitely. I mean, definitely like the internet makes it more accessible and easier for us. But now we're just so out of touch with what's going on, especially over here. In Asia, like you can't ask me about anything popular that's going on now. But like, who's that, or what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I think like one thing too, like especially like Obamacare. I'm like, I don't even know how the fuck that works.
Oh.
Don't worry, we don't either.
No, nobody does.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
I don't know about it at all either.
Yeah, what's going on with that or something? Yeah, it's really strange. Once you leave the country, then all those things that happen in America that you used to be in touch with just go out the window, and then you kind of realize, wow, that never made a difference in my life anyways, because it's still going on.
Do you find it like kind of freeing to not have to worry about a lot of the bullshit that comes with being an American citizen?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think just living out of the country itself is very liberating. It definitely tells you, the kind of person that you are. If you can survive out there in a different, in a foreign land with foreign people, then you could easily do the same back home. When you leave the country, basically, I remember when I left, I just packed whatever's I sold all my shit and just took off right after college, and basically all my work possessions were in one duffel bag kind of thing.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy. I mean,
But that's very liberating.
yeah, for sure, because then all that shit I left back home, it's like, well, it's just material shit. It doesn't mean anything now, because it really frees you from all that anchor, because a lot of people, they kind of they get, I guess it's like their comfort zone, and they don't want to miss their stuff. But then once you don't have it, then you realize, oh, I didn't need it anyways. And now you can just experience, all these different cultures and different people that's out there in the world. For me, at least, that's been far more fulfilling.
Yeah, it's kind of a crash course in becoming self-sufficient, I guess.
And look where it's taking you, man.
Especially when I moved to Japan. Sorry, guys. When I moved to Japan, it was definitely like that. It was like sink or swim, pretty much. No one there speaks English, and it's either you do it or you don't. Otherwise, it was tough. I mean, I remember busking on the street with my guitar, because you can't get a job over there as a foreigner. So I just had my guitar playing on like the this subway station for money to get like lunch.
Yeah.
And just taking up odd jobs, like, you know, tutoring English or doing this or doing that. But it makes you like really resourceful to, and it shows you like, you know, what you are capable of doing in order to, you know, I guess kind of get ahead or to, you know, make things work.
Wow. And how long did it take you to get on your feet? You know, just going from odd job to odd job and.
Well, luckily, like, you know, when I went there, I got to that school and they had like their own like housing, so I was able to stay there. And I mean, the school helped out for the most part, but when it came to like, money, it was basically all my own. And I think I just kept myself busy. I just after I got to school, then I just went to a job, and I always had things lined up on the internet or, you know, on the computer, on my phone. There's always something going on, so it definitely kept me moving all the time. I wasn't ever stagnant, and I guess I didn't have time to think about being on my feet.
Okay.
Nice.
Where in Japan did you live?
Oh.
Oh, no problem.
Sorry.
It's all good, man.
Yeah.
Our listeners are used to all kinds of background noise, whether it be fucking barking chihuahuas or...
Mainly barking chihuahuas. Or all, like the 60 dogs you have in the backyard, Dave.
No, I have like 4 dogs.
I remember one of my jobs is I'd walk dogs. I just walk people's dogs because no one there had the time to walk their dogs, so they pay me to walk all their dogs. And it was a good way to pick up girls because like they always have like really cute dogs and stuff like that. You're just walking dogs in the park. And you're like, oh.
Nice.
It's like, yeah, hey, how are you, kind of thing. And then,
For some reason, I just pictured Josh walking dogs, and he's like, "What's up, bitches?" Oh, I was talking to the dogs.
another one, I used to record English CDs for Japanese companies.
Really?
Oh,
They wanted, like, their...
You would do like voiceover work?
Yeah, it was voiceover work.
Nice.
Wow.
And it'd be like 2 hours or something like that of just me reading lines and whatever. And the people who were like doing the sound recording didn't speak any English, so they're just making sure that the audio was there. And I'm just reading all these lines, and then eventually I just start ad-libbing a bunch of lines that weren't even in the book. And it'd be like maybe like an hour into it, and then I'd be like, you know, like, Tanaka-san, I heard you were sleeping with my wife. He's like, how did you find out? I found your watch on my nightstand. He's like, well, I must defend my honor, and we must duel to the death. And then...
Oh, the people in like, business suits probably heard that at company meetings.
Just the looks of confusion.
And then I'll just go right back into reading the dialogue, like nothing even happened.
Oh, I wish I could do that. That sounds like so much fun.
Just fucking with people.
Yeah, that stuff was always fun. Yeah.
Where in Japan did you live?
I lived in Kobe. It's about if you look on the map of Japan, it's kind of the south next to Osaka.
Oh, okay.
It's in that area down there. Yeah. I think Kobe, they're known, well, obviously for the steak, and then they had a big earthquake. A few, you know, I guess in the 90s, it was a really bad earthquake, and I guess also the Yakuza, the Yakuza originated actually from Kobe.
Huh.
Yeah, like
Wow.
the largest group is based out of Kobe.
Do you still see a lot of that influence there?
Actually, like, the cool thing is, well, the Yakuza, they're really about being discreet. You know, they don't like to like show themselves. I mean, occasionally, you know, you see guys with like, you know, missing a finger or something like that. You're like, oh shit, look at this guy.
Yeah.
Or they have sleeve tattoos, right?
But they're very
Well,
discreet
like
about
full
what
body.
they do. They don't like to make it very public.
Mm.
Wow, dude. What was the biggest thing culture shock wise for you when you moved over there?
Culture shock wise, oh gosh, well, let's see. I guess one of them is just, I guess kind of women, maybe like the racism sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, wow, it's really crazy. I mean, different parts of Asia have very extreme extremities of racism. Koreans are notoriously, you know, known for being outwardly racist
Yeah.
to any foreigner. You know, it both, I guess, kind of in a good way and a bad way. I guess in a good way because they just don't know any better, and in a bad way, of course, you know, when it comes to that. You know, then there's the Japanese. You know, they're pretty racist, especially against Koreans. And then not so much in Taiwan, but I mean, you still get it here anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I guess other parts of culture shock. I don't know. I guess really, it just probably the biggest part would be being away just from friends and family. That definitely probably the biggest part of it.
I believe that's probably the biggest part of how no one wants to leave their hometown. They don't want to leave the family and friends because if you cut the anchor, you might float away and you never know where you'll end up.
Yeah, I mean, that's always like in the back of everyone's mind. But it's just one of those things, like, you never know until you do it. You know, just
Right.
don't be afraid to stick it out there, kind of thing.
Yeah, if anything, you're a prime example of that being successful.
Right, yeah. But usually, like, I don't know, I guess when it came to Japan, it was really easy to immerse myself into the culture. But like, here in Taiwan, sometimes it's a little bit jarring, you know, when either with like the food or just like the people in general, because the way people here, you know, act with each other, it could be really annoying. I mean, the list could go on and on.
Was there way more culture shock with Taiwan than there was with Japan?
Sure, I would have to say that. Like, I think probably because I spent more time here in Taiwan than Japan. But definitely, I mean, there's times where you get used to it, and then other times where you're just like, man, fuck everyone, and you know, I just want to see, like, you know, the country burn kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they just get on my nerves.
I get that here, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing with culture shock. It goes like in stages. You know, you have like that stage where everything's nice and fresh and rosy, and you know, everything's awesome. Then the next thing, you're like, you just fucking hate this person. You want to punch him in the face because, you know, they looked at you funny.
Yeah.
Or that could just be called having a bad day.
That too, yeah. That too.
I call that Monday.
I think for me, the hardest thing to adjust with is just the traffic over here, like the way people drive.
Is it just insane?
Yeah, just people here have no sense of, I guess, courtesy. You know, I guess I'm just so used to driving back in the States where you kind of take those things for granted, and you don't expect everyone to drive like a douchebag. But here, you know, it's pretty much everyone for themselves. They're always trying to overtake you and do this and do that. And scooters, you know, that's again, those guys are jerk faces. And I think most of my anger kind of stems from that, just because of people being really dumb and doing very stupid things.
Wow. What I always wondered about places like that where there's a lot more aggressive, like, driving styles, or, you know, there's not the same courtesy shown, does that result in a lot more, like, traffic accidents or fatalities or stuff? Like,
You know, you would think that, but I think because everyone expects everyone else to drive crazy,
Mhm.
they just, you know, they just kind of go with it.
Yeah.
So when some idiot is coming down the wrong way on the street, you just kind of move lanes to avoid him and then keep going on your way, you know?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of counterintuitive because probably more of the injury or accidents or fatalities would result from that entitlement of saying like, oh no, they're gonna be courteous to me, and not expecting it. Whereas you see people driving crazy and you're like, how do they manage without getting hurt? You know?
Yeah, I think it's just because they're used to that aggressiveness, and what else can you do but adapt?
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much how it is. You just kind of just take it as it is. I go, okay, yeah, this guy's gonna drive like an asshole. Just let him do it, and just accept it. I think most of the accidents though happen with the scooters. A lot of people here, that drive without helmets. I'll see families of like 4 or 5 people on one little scooter. Just driving around the fucking road.
I think I've seen videos of that. Mainly because they crash.
It's really ridiculous. I don't know if you ever heard of that comic, Russell Peters.
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, he has this one joke saying, like, when he was in Vietnam, he saw this family as, like, of 5 on a scooter where, had, like, one little kid hanging onto the handlebars, another little kid on a little piece of seat, then the dad driving, then the mom in the back, juggling 2 kids while eating a bowl of rice or something like that. It's almost exactly like that here.
Yeah, I think
just insane.
I've heard a joke that's like that. It might have been the same one, and they were saying that the father was the only one wearing a helmet.
That reminds me of some of a Stanhope joke where do you know Doug Stanhope at all?
I haven't heard any of his stuff, but I know him.
Yeah, he has this one joke where it's a kid that was raised in a third world country, and he comes to the U.S. and he gets imprisoned, and he's writing to his mom, and he's like, "Dear mother," and he's in prison, which is supposed to be like deplorable conditions and everything, but for the U.S. And he's like, "Dear mother, I write to you from paradise. They provide me 3 square meals a day, and I have a dry spring mattress to sleep on." And he's just like just praising the conditions there in the prison, whereas we as spoiled Americans would take it for like
Completely take it for granted.
Yeah, the most horrible, dank, depressing conditions possible. What we would see as that, this kid was seeing it as like something amazing.
Yeah. It always shows you, there's always someone who has it worse.
Yeah.
Yes, and try not to take those things for granted, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's always when they say like first world problems, like first world problem, my fucking cell phone fell down the sewer or some shit like that.
Yeah, but I can't get reception here.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting how that kind of consumer culture kind of just it hijacks that inborn kind of what am I saying? That instinct to where you feel like it is a necessity. You actually have that feeling. You wake up and there's that sense of panic, and it's a very real thing. If you can't find your fucking phone, and it's just a phone.
Yeah, it's your phone, and you think, I left the house. Oh shit, I'm up 2 miles away. I gotta turn back. I don't care if I'm late. I need my phone.
Mm-hmm. But it's very real programming that's left over from thousands of years of evolution that it's been hijacked by this culture that we live in now.
Yeah, where it used to be maybe. All right, I'm in the jungle. Oh shit, I forgot my spear. Can't find food now.
Yeah.
I gotta make a new one. Yeah, I'm fucked because look at that. The bushes are just rumbling. Fuck.
I think Josh just referred to himself as a spear chucker.
Oh, racism. Oh, Christ.
That's just the nature of the beast now. This is our society where it's like it's very consumer based. Everything has to be geared towards just entertainment. We want to be entertained because we want to escape the drudgeries of life, of having to work 9 to 5 just to scrape out a living, so you can buy those things to keep you preoccupied from thinking about the job that you're working at.
Yeah, well, not only that, even like everything has to be entertainment now. You take the news for once. For example, I mean, it's not even really most networks aren't even really news shows anymore. They're entertainment.
Yeah, a lot
that's kind of disguised as news.
There's so many websites now. It's all just clickbait. It's kind of a shocking shocking headline. Got to click it, and then you got to read this. And also, there's all these advertisements and other links. You got to see this because this looks a little bit interesting. And I got time to kill, so let's see who she's fucking. Oh well.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that clickbait stuff. Because,
I know.
Also, once you click it, then suddenly, you might like this one, this advertisement too.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is that it's so transparent. Like you you know exactly what it is. You know exactly how and why they're trying to lure you in, but you find yourself drawn to it anyway.
Yeah, at least once a week, I'll sometimes click on something like that and almost go down a rabbit hole of just really pointless stuff. Like, look at child stars. Look at how they've grown 20 years later. I think I've seen that twice.
And then you're like, oh, I remember watching that show.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, what happened to her? Or what happened to him? I was like, oh, yeah, I guess he's doing better. And then,
Remember Donkey Lips?
yeah,
How's he doing?
yeah, click here to find out. What about Sponge?
And even just like it highlights the worst aspects of human nature and it makes it entertainment. Like how many fucking before the internet was so huge, remember how much of a fringe taboo thing that like say Faces of Death was? Now you can go on like any number of sites and there's gore videos and
Hell, even the news will say this video is edited for content, but then people look online and immediately search it out.
yeah. Or like what's one of the biggest news stories in recent memory was the fucking Ray Rice video where he's very graphically beating that woman.
Yeah.
And they play it nonstop on a loop, and you just see it, and it becomes an accepted part of the culture, and we wonder why
it almost,
there's not more of a visceral reaction to it.
I think, in some ways, 9/11 kind of just broke our minds with that because those images were played over and over and over that day, where it's burned in my memory that people falling from the sky, the plane crashing into it, the rubble just crashing down, and people running, screaming like it's the Blob coming at them.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I would say the seed of that was planted even earlier with the O.J. Simpson trial, because that was the first news story that was covered like 24/7. I mean, well, not necessarily 24/7, but it was just hammered into the public consciousness.
Also, it could have been JFK.
True.
That was
more with speculation though, because there wasn't constant video and everything from every possible angle.
I believe they did report it multiple times, like throughout that day.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking about like with the O.J. Simpson trial, you got used to it. Became kind of like a reality show where you're following these people around and you're playing out the courtroom drama.
I guess that's true. That oversaturation.
Yeah.
I remember being in elementary school, and us kids didn't give a shit, but the teachers all had it on their TV, watching the verdict about to be read.
Yeah, the O.J. Simpson trial was the first major crime story that I can remember that was presented as entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. We're like, well, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
Where did this bloody glove come from?
But I was a kid, and I was like, I don't give a shit. I want to read my Goosebumps.
And as a side note, that was one of the last times I can remember where a black guy could kill a white woman and get away with it and not get shot in the fucking face. Jesus Christ.
No, but I think also it's just, I think everyone's fascination with, I guess with that grim reality with death or whatever. I mean, think about like rubbernecking when you're driving on the fucking freeway and there's a huge lineup of traffic because some car on the other side flipped over, is on fire, and people are running around. You can't help but like slow down and look. Like, what happened here? What happened here? Did that guy die? Or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the media definitely plays off of that too, where they're like, well, people are just fascinated by that kind of thing. They're fascinated by that mortality.
Yeah, even
And just oversaturated. And now, like you're saying, maybe it's just come to the point where we're just desensitized to that kind of gore and that kind of reality.
Yeah, even figurative car wrecks, like fucking who's Lindsay Lohan flashing her cunt to next week, or it's just that same focus on who's fucking up and how bad and how much can we exploit this.
Yeah, there has to be something major going on every day, even if it's rehashing the same old shit that happened last week.
Yeah, and I think that feeds into this what we were talking about earlier, this Facebook mentality of like everything is everything is this big major story. Like, oh, this is my food. It's so important that I gotta post it everywhere, because we're so used to seeing everything posted like that, everything presented like that as this major breaking story, and oh my god, the drama and the everything has to be entertainment. So we can't possibly think of anything that can't be entertainment. We have to post everything
and make ourselves our own kind of celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everyone, secretly kind of wants, like, they like that feeling of,
Oh, fuck yeah.
the attention, or at least the envy of other people, and like, oh, look at this, guys, look what I'm eating. Like,
We said, knowing full well that we're podcast hosts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, fuck, even podcasting to a certain extent is that same exercise in narcissism to an extent.
Yeah. I believe that just because, we're recording this and just say, like, who wants to hear us talk about shit?
Well, you do, because you're gonna listen to it.
Yeah, but at least maybe people can get something out of this instead of someone posting a picture of something they made with the hashtag yum. Ugh. God damn it. I hate seeing that.
That hashtag. I mean, it's become.
Just hashtag anything. It starts pissing me off. But people posting food and either the poster or the people commenting will put yummy, save me some. It's like, oh, go fuck your mother.
It's like, are you guys talking about the pound sign?
Well, that's become how we know things or how we categorize things. Everything has to be a quirky little hashtag comment or
everything almost slogan. Has to be a catchphrase. Mm-hmm. Everything.
Yeah, I've noticed everything kind of has taken this tone of it has to be like overly cute or overly like very juvenile. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being old and grumpy, but fuck.
But even people our age are using those words. I know people that are a little bit older than me and much older than me that use that as like selfies and healthies when they're at the gym.
Yeah, like everything has to end in that IE and be kind of cutesy and like a child would say, And where does that come from? Why is there that? I don't know. Why is that appealing?
I have no idea. Maybe some people do find it cute, but I definitely know I'm not one of them. I don't see the point. But then again, that's why we're talking about something beyond stupid celebrity gossip.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then I'm like, well, we're grumpy fucks to begin with, so I don't know. Maybe I'm the asshole.
Yeah, like since Dave and I knew each other in 7th grade, we've always been kind of just angry souls.
We all get that grumpy old man from across the street. Get off my fucking lawn!
Yeah, like, but sir, this isn't your house. I don't care.
It used to be.
Alright. So you guys want to wrap it up, or we got anything else to chat about?
I think this was pretty good. I mean, this could always continue another time.
Yeah, of course. We'd love to have you back on the show, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on here. It was a pleasure being on here with you guys.
Cool, man. Tell everybody, tell our listeners where they can check you out, where they can catch your podcast, anything else.
Definitely. Well, we definitely like to plug you guys in whenever we can, and whenever Josh graces us with his amazing voice work.
Cool. But let our listeners know how they can find you. Like, where can they check you guys out?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem.
You can find us on our blogspot at jackassexpress.blogspot.com, and we're also on Facebook, and you can find us on there. And I believe we're also friended on y'all's Facebooks too.
Yeah.
On your likes maybe, so you can find us there as well. And drop us a line if you want to hear anything, you want us to talk about anything like that, or we always have a lot of fan submitted topics, questions.
Yeah.
Ask us about this or that. We're always happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, I've seen that before. the Jackass Express will definitely just take anything that's just very responsive with the fan base.
Yeah. Anything good goes. It's all good.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, man, it was great to have you on. We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, man, thank you so much.
Yeah, it sounds like that's a podcast. All right.
Yes, all right, man.
Sounds good, man.
All right.
All right, well, hey, thanks, man. Take it easy.
Thanks.
Yeah, see you guys.
All right, man.
Revolution of the Board is brought to you by Morfiend and Dave. Recorded and produced in El Paso, Texas. Edited and engineered by yours truly, the Dave. Theme music written by Morfiend and myself. Ending theme provided royalty-free by Incompetech.com. Find this and other episodes on revolutionoftheboard.podbean.com, iTunes, or our YouTube channel, as well as important links, updates, and general bullshit on our Facebook fan page and on Twitter at ROTB Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share as it helps us gain visibility and spread the show like the ass cancer of a podcast it is. Revolution of the Board would like to thank our guest, Jonathan Chase of the Jackass Express podcast, our host site, podbean.com, Online Piracy for providing the tools necessary to edit the show, and you, the listeners, for keeping us going for what's now been 3 years. Till next time, fuckers.
Oh, racism.